If you are a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, our next guest needs no introduction.
No one calls it like he does. And
The Lightning have done it! They have gone back-to-back for the second year in a row! Wow. They have won the Stanley Cup!
doesn't that get you going? Dave Mishkin,
wow.
radio play-by-play announcer for 24 years. No one calls it or knows this team better. Welcome.
Thanks. I promise not to jump up and
Could you?
bounce around.
Yeah,
You have to.
We should have made you. That's how we started this entire segment. Was exactly what we just watched you do there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you're putting pressure on
I
me.
know.
Yeah,
I know.
I'll wait for the playoffs, which is what we're
I
here to talk
know.
about.
This is great.
I know, but you have called thousands and thousands of games. I have to ask you, is there one moment or one game that really kind of stands out to you? Maybe that moment right there that we just saw.
Wow, I've been fortunate to be on the mic for the 3 Stanley Cup championships. So asking me to pick a favorite is like picking your favorite kid, right?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of hard to distinguish. But even in the years where the Lightning haven't necessarily won a championship, there have been some great playoff moments. And those are special too, because the moment is the moment, right?
Yeah.
It was a great moment, an historic moment. And you know, you try and stay in the moment, right? You try and just be there to capture what is happening on the ice, and then afterward you can kind of think back and say, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Just
That
pretty
was a
cool.
moment.
That's
yeah.
all.
So what are you thinking about this playoff season?
Yeah.
What's your insights?
So the Lightning have had a great year.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of turnover in the East in terms of some regular playoff teams are not in the playoffs this year. So it's an accomplishment that the Lightning, and you guys reminded me when I came here, it's the 9th consecutive year that they've made the playoffs and the 18th time in franchise history. And the Lightning haven't been around 100 years. I mean, the first year was 92, 93. So that's quite an accomplishment to be back in the postseason. Having said that, you know, all the teams that are in have earned their spot. And all the series are going to be very competitive. I think the Lightning are really focused on, at the very least, getting out of the first round, which they haven't done in the last 3 years. They're going to be playing Montreal. We know that. They will have home ice, meaning the first 2 will be in Tampa.
Which is great.
And of the 7-game series, 4, if it goes the distance, would be played at home. But you're just going to have to play really, really well. Having said all of that, do I think the Lightning have a chance to win the Stanley Cup? Absolutely.
Awesome.
They have a good enough team this year, and they've showed that through the regular season.
Yeah. Well, if anyone would know, it's you, right? Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the playouts for people who aren't that into hockey. Kind of, how does it work? You know, what's the layout? You said the first 2 games are here, so that's good for us.
Right. So it's not a one and done.
Right.
So this is a series. It's first team to win 4. So the first 2 are in Tampa. Games 3 and 4 will be in Montreal, and then it alternates 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
Hockey is a game based on speed and passion and emotion, and that gets elevated in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The players elevate. I think the fans feel that elevation, which really makes it an incredible sport to follow and watch anytime, in my opinion, but certainly in the playoffs. It's a sport where you can go from offense to defense in an instant and defense to offense in an instant. So
fun.
A play can shift. Like, you think you're in good shape and all of a sudden you're not. You think you're not in good shape and all of a sudden you are. And that adds to the drama and the intensity. And in the regular season, if a game is tied through 3 periods, we have a short overtime, and then they determine a winner. If it's not won in overtime, you go to the shootout.
Right.
In the playoffs, you just play.
Yeah.
Like, you just play until there's a goal, and a goal could happen 30 seconds in, or it could happen 30 minutes in.
Wow.
You never know.
Yeah.
And that uncertainty also adds to the tension of the drama. So it's not necessarily for the faint of heart.
Right, yeah.
But it's like riding a roller coaster, right?
Which is awesome.
It is awesome.
So is this drama and this emotion and all that, is that why they're fighting all the time?
Yeah.
I think that you know, it's funny you bring that up, Allison, because, you know, fighting is part of the sport.
It is, which is crazy.
But I think that does bubble over from how hard and intensely the players are competing.
Yeah.
And they do have sticks in their hands.
Right.
So it's kind of the gentleman's or gentle ladies agreement. They don't actually, to the best of my knowledge, in women's hockey, I haven't seen the fights.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to hit that
All
point.
you men just fighting all the time.
Well, they do have a professional women's hockey league now, and I've seen some altercations there. But it's kind of an understanding, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to drop our weapons,
I
drop our
see.
gloves.
And do that.
It's so like,
It's so, it is
they're
weird.
gonna fight, and they're like
Yeah.
you're saying, the gloves come off, and everybody kind of just like watches.
And then at some point,
they're like, all right, that's enough.
they decide not to anymore.
We don't see a lot of that in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Oh, good.
Although the physical play does amp up,
Yeah.
for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, great. Well, thank you for being here
Yes.
with us.
Great to see
I
you
know.
guys.
This was
Yeah,
great.
good to
We'll be listening for you as we
Yeah.
head into the playoffs. Thanks for
Absolutely.
being here. For all things Lightning playoffs, you can head to NHL.com/Lightning.